Is that an explosive rally in EOS? Because that's what an explosive rally should look like. EOS is not the only crypto exploding upwards. We've seen explosive action across almost every asset class today, including various cryptocurrencies, different stock indices, energy, you name it. Everything's had a fantastic rally today, and EOS is finally giving us a more confident setup to the upside. This is the 30-minute chart, which will be available in the description below, as well as the long-term chart. So check those out below. But we are up right now. It's showing about 0.8%, but that is obviously for the 28th. I'm obviously in the central US time zone, so it didn't capture the full extent, but we've had upwards of 50, 100% rallies over the past week or week and a half for several cryptos. Off the top of my head, Ethereum Classic has pretty much doubled since it hit its low point not that long ago. And here we are. So we have our 1-2 setup back here as we went over in our last update. And then we had a bit of a sketchy pattern going on here where this looked like possibly a nested 1-2 setup with a final blow off. Not sure about that at the moment. We're going to deep dive a little bit into that soon. But we had a peak on, what is that, July 23rd, right around $1.26. We had a subsequent pullback, which I'm calling now the fourth wave. And ever since then, we have rallied back up. That's where the excitement is, because now we may be able to legitimately call this a 5-wave rally. And we're probably not done yet. We are getting a bit stretched in the MACD, but expect to see a higher high while we have a bit of a MACD divergence for a local top. So as for that caveat I was explaining, what is this whole thing going on here? Why do we have this weird rally and pullback? This probably best counts as diagonal setup, even though we don't have the fourth wave overlapping with the first wave top. So could be an ABC up, maybe an ABC down, ABC up for the third wave, relatively deep fourth wave, and we should have one final blow off for our fifth wave. And if we put a trend line here, expect this rally to burst a little bit through this trend line that we have set up here. So that could get us past the $1.30 mark. And well, that's a number that we haven't really seen in a while. After we broke our support a while back, seems like we can't get out of the hole. Now this is EOS. We're seeing even more encouraging action in other cryptos. Bitcoin, almost on cue, rallied right back. This is the biggest crypto, so we always want to track to see what it's doing relative to the rest of the crypto space. And here too, we're counting this as a diagonal, and it looks much more like a diagonal. You'll see I have some trend channel lines drawn here, and sometimes we'll poke down or above through it. That's pretty normal. A lot of whipsaw. That is the rule of diagonals and any kind of corrective wave for that matter. This third wave top here, nice deep fourth wave. It did overlap our first wave top, so that is a textbook diagonal trait. And we need to see this thing rally up to at least the 25,700 range, somewhere in that. So we may see that happen. Ethereum looks even more encouraging. This had held an impulsive looking setup with pretty standard pullbacks the entire way. I know I went over this yesterday with our Chainlink update, but had a classic 1-2. And depending on where you put the second wave, here or here, this hit the typical third wave target. We had a B wave expanded flat that went a little bit higher, but so far it looks like an ABC down here, ABC up for the B wave, and an impulse down for the C wave. And we are up and away for the fifth wave. We are at 1656. So this is the highest we've seen Ethereum in quite a while. We haven't seen it this high since our, since we had that big scary dip in early to mid-June. So that's a very good sign. I would really like to see this thing stretch and power to close to 1800. It doesn't have to get there. I would expect to get a little closer. Once we get that, expect a nice pullback, and that should be our bigger second wave. And that will give us a clear 5 up in that crypto. Other cryptos are in similar postures. I always point out Ethereum Classic because it's the most explosive. Let's face it, doesn't matter what your favorite crypto is. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. We already have 5 up. So we may or may not be done. And Dash often has clean patterns, but we are seeing nothing of that sort right now in that particular crypto. So back to EOS. All systems are go so far. I would like to see higher as we have this trend line. So expect us to creep past 130, but probably not too far past that based on this 1-2 setup. Are we totally out of the woods? No. This whole thing could be a corrective wave. Doesn't look like a standard impulse. As I mentioned, diagonals are not as bullish as a full impulse. So wait for a bit more confirmation. Now, that's enough doom and gloom. Going to touch on the stock market. The ES mini futures has also taken a much more bullish turn. This does represent the S&P 500, and we are seeing similar structures in the Dow, in the NASDAQ, small caps, even the emerging world markets, EEM. They're all showing at least some explosive rallies. We're breaking through a lot of key supports and resistances. However, it too has a more corrective looking setup. So you got an ABC up, ABC down, and depends on what this is. This could be a big impulsive C wave, or could be another series of three-wave zigzag patterns. Not totally sure, but right now there's nothing implying any any immediate downside. Now we're going to shift to the big picture, in which pretty much nothing has changed. We still have our MACD divergence. As you can see, this has become less and less stretched as we've gone lower and lower. And lo and behold, we can finally see this rally materializing. This is probably the best rally we've had since, I don't know, probably in the spring. That last rally peak that you see on the screen here, that's March 26th. So it's been a long time since we've seen this kind of upside action in EOS, and it couldn't come soon enough. So here we are. The primary pattern is red. I know actually our green is primary. Sorry about that, the confusion. I know a lot of these numbers are getting jumbled up here, but green sees this bottom as the major fourth wave with a final fifth wave rally to come. And as of now, I'm still expecting this to take some kind of impulsive form in five-wave fashion. Going back into the past, this top that we had back in April of 2018, which is a little bit later than most of the other cryptos, that is what I'm seeing as our major third wave top. And that is because Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, as well as various stock indices had their major third waves back then as well, with the bottom of our 2020 crash marking the bottom of the major fourth wave for a lot of those indices, possibly even Bitcoin, Ethereum. Obviously in EOS, we're following a little bit of a different pattern. Many of the altcoins are seeing their completed fourth wave now, or at least over the past month or so. Now, that means that is a third wave, that's a fourth wave. Again, one final rally to go. Because of the lack of history for EOS, we're going to give this the benefit of the doubt that we will see an impulsive rally. And when we build out an estimated proportion, assuming this is a 38.2% retrace based on Dash, expect us to get to at least 1790. That's towards the bottom of this box. Although I'd like to see higher. Ideally, we don't see a truncated top. We see a top that goes at least past the 2334 all-time high. That's what I would like to see, but need to see a bit more of a rally materialize. The alternate pattern is that we're falling red. It's actually a much more bullish pattern. However, we may see a much bigger rally and a bigger pullback. Now, can we see a lower low? Sure, we're not out of the woods, as I mentioned. Diagonals are not as bullish as impulses. So we could have a nominally lower low. At this point, there's not really much of a lower limit to where we could go. I think I had 85 cents at one point as a maximum low. We broke that. We got down to 81 cents. So as of now, I don't see that as a high possibility. Just to throw our fibs back on here to give a quick estimate, our 1-to-1 ratio of our A wave to our C wave. Whoa, I got jumbled up. Sorry, guys. Would have taken us to about, let's see, what is that? 83 cents. So we just about hit the ideal C wave extension based on the A wave back here. So I'm not going to waste any more time on that. If we see any kind of big downside setup, we'll be on it. But right now, things are looking pretty bullish at the moment. Now, where do we expect to go? As I mentioned, at least $23, which sounds insane. Does our current rally structure support that notion? Well, as I mentioned, we expect to top somewhere between maybe as much as the 131 mark. So if we get up to the 131 mark, I'm going to build a fib here just to simulate and give an estimate as to where we could go. So about 131, put the top there, put our fib. Let's give it about a 50% retrace or so. I know, again, it's getting jumbled. I'm going to stretch this out so you guys can see a little bit better what I'm looking at here. So assuming we have a first wave and a second wave, that's about a 50% retrace. That does project up to about where this aqua colored one is. So in other words, this mini rally that we're seeing right here, you can see it here. Of course, you can see the close-up view. If this is the first wave of a larger first wave, this top around the mid $2 range is about right. That's about where we'd expect to see a bigger rally, which brings us to the bigger question. If you're trying to get in, or if you're underwater in EOS, what should you do? No reason to panic sell. Again, sell only if you need that cash for something else, buying a house, car payment, paying off debt, whatever it is. Otherwise, the only other excuse would be to, if you're diversifying, if you have too much allocated into EOS, I always strongly suggest divide it up. Lots of altcoins out there, Polkadot, Polygon, Shiba Inu, Stellar Lumens. I could go on and on. Spread the wealth. You don't know which one's going to outperform. And hint, hint, Ethereum Classic seems to outperform quite often, explosively. Doesn't mean you don't want to have EOS, but diversification is always a tool to protect yourself. If you're looking to buy again, I would at least wait for this fifth wave to complete up to about $1.31 or so. Wait for a pullback. That may be a good place to deploy, but our biggest buying opportunity would come after we complete this first wave up. So again, in the mid $2 range, once we have a full 5-wave rally up to there, and then a corrective 3-wave pullback for a wave 2, that'll be the place to buy. And what I mean by that is, well, let's suppose we get to about $1.50 or so for a second wave. That third wave projects a lot higher. Put it that way. Could be a 10x return just for the third wave, and that is assuming the conservative ultimate topping target, again, in the lower $20 range. There is no reason why we couldn't go a good bit higher based on these fib extensions and standard fifth wave targets. We could go a lot higher than that. So again, don't run out of patience. Don't panic sell or panic buy. I know we've had some explosive rallies. Have patience. Wait for the bigger 5-wave impulse to develop if you are looking to deploy more cash. And again, as always, diversify. Don't forget, remember, that will be the ultimate top. Going to refresh again. Should coincide with the everything top. We may see cryptos top ahead of the stock market or vice versa. Expect certain things to top beforehand. Healthcare sector, finance sector, oftentimes energy will rally before that bond market. Usually the stock market rallies, the top's a little later. There's always certain things that happen that rally first. Other ones will lag. Keep an eye on all the asset classes, not just EOS. You're going to have plenty more updates coming your way. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss those. And if you enjoyed my video, don't forget to give me a like. Till next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.